I owe this fine man, this fine gentleman, $1. We made a bet, I don't know, call it a year ago, and I
About
was
that.
wrong. He was right. We're going to talk about what the bet was. We're going to show the graph, and we're going to talk about what he got right and what I got wrong. Well, let's welcome Matt, the lumberjack, to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm excited to be here, Mike. I mean, I'm really excited for your dollar. It's twice as much as I've ever taken from Dion. But
Oh, that is hilarious.
no,
Well,
he gave them to me in 50-cent pieces, and I'm glad that it's only $1 because the worst I'm gonna get is two rolls of pennies.
there you
That's the
go.
worst I'm gonna get. So
There.
unless you find Weimar Republic money, and then I'm in trouble.
I won't do that to you. I
All good.
gladly pay. I gladly pay it.
It's all good.
But why don't we remind people of the bet we made?
Yeah.
We will actually show the graph that
Yeah.
shows you were right and I was wrong. And then we'll really get into the meat of it, of what I missed, what you got right.
Sure. Really what it is median home sales. And so one of the things that the guys on the crash channels and kind of generally the market in general is that they believed, oh, housing's going to collapse, right? How many years have we been railing about them railing against them for that, and the fact that they've been like, we're a bunch of idiots and we're a bunch of Pollyannas and we don't know what we're talking about. Well, we've got 20 years experience and they have 2. I think that the interesting thing is median home sales. It just shows that a chart doesn't tell the story. This chart, I never disagreed with you when you said, hey, median or inexpensive housing, housing is not largely going to get more affordable. I don't disagree with you at all.
Right.
Where only place that we disagreed was I'd come up with essentially a formula that says, okay, median home prices, how are they tracked? Well, they are tracked. Median means middle. So if you have 10 home sales, and in this case, it was 480,000 was the peak back in 2 quarters ago. 480,000 was the peak. Yeah, 479.5 was the peak 2 quarters ago, basically Q4 of 2022. And what we look at that number, what that number really says to us is, hey, that means that out of 10 transactions, the middle transaction is $480,000. That's what it means.
Yep.
479.5. And so in that particular case, I basically built a graph and I said, well, if I believe what I believe is really going to happen in the market, I believe that the high end largely disappears because they do stuff in cash and they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to take my time. I'm going to wait because cash is king. And then you get the move up buyer, and you and I agreed, no one's moving up. No one's leaving a 2.5% or a 3% mortgage. No one's leaving that.
Right.
They're like, I got 2.5 or 3 points. I might stay here forever because I can add $150,000 addition to my house and still not take in all of the expense. It's still less money to do that than it is to go buy something at 7. And so what I believed was that the luxury part of the market was going to largely disappear. And certainly for a time it did. And then I believe that the move up buyer was going to disappear. And certainly for a time of period, it certainly did. And it's still soft. It's not horrible, but it's still soft, but it's getting better because now people are buying down into the 5s or buying down into, I've even seen some where they bought down into the very high 4s.
Yep.
And hint, wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
And when people are able to get into that very high 4s or low 5s, it now becomes, hey, now this is a better than average mortgage rate than it has been over the last 20 years. So I just believe that those top 2 are going to happen. And so what ended up happening is what used to be the median, which was 479.5. I believe that just because the upper part of the market was largely going to at least diminish, if not in some areas disappear, I believe that many more of the transactions would then be occurring in the middle where they were at 480 and less.
Yep.
And that's basically what happened. We didn't get the big inventory boom. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
We didn't see millions and millions of foreclosures. Sorry, guys. Certainly not in 45 days or 60 days or 90 days. You don't understand. They're going to flood the market. You don't understand how a foreclosure works.
Yes.
And so that's really what we found. And so it was basically just kind of backing into it saying, hey, been through this before. What's this going to look like? I think median minus, those are the people that have to enter the market, right?
Right.
And rentals are already so expensive that in many cases, it makes sense to put the 3.5% down to get a mortgage because it's probably less than what the rent is in a number of cities. Yeah. So that's kind of the math and how I got there. And you know what? Thankfully, this model worked and it was right. And I'm sure I'll be wrong on the next one.
No, again, the logic is solid, and yeah, you were right the whole time. And again, the whole idea of the median is the middle, right? So if you
Right.
lined up 400,000 transactions in a normal market, and then you take out the top and
Yep.
you take out the move up buyer,
Yeah,
the entry level stuff is still moving. Okay, so you took,
it is.
400,000. Now we're going to do 300,000 transactions. It's just a percentage game, right? The
Correct.
the low end never changed, so it's going to consume what was 40% is now 60%,
That's
and
right.
then the higher end. What I incorrectly assumed
Yeah.
was, um, I guess the luxury and the move up seller,
Okay.
they would capitulate sooner.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, fair.
Now, because I thought, again, hey, you have $1 million home, you want out, you're going to sell it for 900 and be done.
Yeah.
Uh, I incorrectly, my timing of that is probably, well, clearly is wrong. Not probably, clearly was wrong. That still
Yeah.
might happen. We might see in
Yeah.
Q4, for
Yeah.
example, because I just talked to Brian Lebo in Vegas.
Yeah.
We may see Q4 median jump because you've been holding on to a luxury home for a year.
Yeah.
Instead of taking 1.8, you take 1.2 because you're done.
Yes.
That kind
I
of capitulation may be on the horizon and will jump the median home price.
completely agree. Completely agree. We are absolutely, I believe, Mike, I believe next quarter, I believe we're up. So I believe when this gets reported in November,
Right.
this number should get reported again at the end of November. I believe this number is going to be up.
Yeah.
How often does that happen?
Yeah.
Right? How often do you see a move from a massive decline? We're talking 14% decline.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it stops and it goes up. Here's the issue. I believe that the only hope for the crash bros, and again, this isn't average home sales prices, is what they really talk about. This is a better indicator of price and transactions, right?
Correct.
Where are the transactions occurring?
That's what this
Average
is.
home price is just what it's actually selling for, right? And so
Yeah.
I believe that Q1 of next year, I believe is which will be reported in April, May. It'll be reported in May of 2024.
Right.
I believe Q1 of next year has the chance to get into that market peak -20 range.
Interesting.
Yep. Because I think what's going to happen is I think we are going to see, right to your point, I think we are going to see trouble in the stock market eventually.
Mhm.
I think that when we do see that, I think that the guys that you're talking about, 900 F it, let me just get my cash out and be done with this.
Mm-hmm.
Then that actually helps that actually starts bringing some of those higher transactions back in the market, albeit for
Right.
less, right?
Correct. Correct.
That bottom end still stays strong unless it really starts to affect unemployment. But what is unemployment's really going to affect that lower tier that a lot of aren't even home buyers.
Right.
It's a lot of renters. Unemployment mostly affects renters, not home buyers.
Yeah.
Unless we continue to see it come to fruition, which again, you and I agree on, is that it will be a white collar led recession.
Yep.
Although I must say, as a person who used to have their weekly treat at McDonald's being the dollar menu at the drive-thru,
Yeah.
the dollar menu at the kiosk is even better.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
I
Yeah.
never have to worry about my order being wrong based on what was actually put into the system.
Yep. Yeah. You do it
But
yourself.
that's what I actually see happening. I think you're right. I think this actually rebounds. I think this has a good chance of rebounding next quarter.
So you see a double dip.
I
So again,
do.
you see kind of a bounce in Q3, Q4,
I do.
and then you see something pretty significant in Q1 the other direction.
I do.
Wow.
On median, that's what I do. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
I think that I think that you're exactly right. I think that there's going to be a reason, a motivation, because I think that rates will go up a little bit more this year.
Mm,
I think we're probably going to see cuts in 2024,
sure.
right? Because I still don't believe that we're not going to have a recession.
Right.
Mike,
Okay.
have you ever had a non-recession feel so recession-y?
No.
Right?
No.
It feels
No.
recession-y to me. It just does. It feels like that's what's going on. In certain sectors, it's off the charts, crazy good. But
Mhm.
in others, it's not very good.
Yeah.
In others, it's not. Like I can tell you when I would have buy doors used to be 3 to 4 weeks out. Now I can get any door that I want custom made in 7 days.
Mm.
Windows at their peak were 12 to 16 weeks out.
Yep.
Now I get any windows, they're still telling me 3 weeks, but I'm getting them in 2. They didn't get that much more efficient.
No.
So I'm seeing the slowdowns in all these different areas, which eventually that slowdown, maybe it's just finding, maybe water's just finding its level, but usually it doesn't. Usually it overcorrects.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a lot of projects that we're committed to, a lot of real estate projects that we're committed to, where guys have to finish the job.
Yeah, they're on a construction financing. They have to
Yeah,
hit their dates. Yeah.
yeah. Well, you find, so I look at when I think there's going to be that slowdown is when we start seeing the dips in the sheetrock companies and the final finish guys, right? So kitchens are usually the last thing, and from a rehab perspective, they're usually the last thing to fail. They're the last thing to fall. And then usually on construction, it's usually sheetrock, because that's usually the next to last thing. It's usually that and flooring, and then like kind of final finishes. But when you start to see the sheetrockers take dips, that's when you're going to start. That's when it's going to be in the economy, probably 180 days, 90 to 180 days from then.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen. So, but my sheetrock guys, the 3 companies I talked to, they're all out straight.
Okay.
One of them has 9 months of business.
Oh, wow.
9 months. He's like, I could double in size tomorrow and I'd still have a 5-month book. I was like, are you going to do that? He goes, we're still hiring.
Yeah.
He goes, we're still hiring. He goes, we want to get through it faster.
Right.
But yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. So I think this is a lesson that needs to be learned by everybody in how to actually read and understand a chart. Reading a chart and understanding the chart are 2 completely different, diametrically opposing ideas.
Yeah, what I think you got right and I got wrong was the timing. Right? Not the timing, but the series of dominoes.
Yeah.
But I think we both got to the end point. I missed timing because it takes time to capitulate.
Yeah.
Right. One of the rich guy, right? Because I told a story about Brian Lebo this morning, a 1.8 home selling for 1.1.
Oh,
yeah, in Anthem in Las Vegas, right? A huge, great master. The guy just wanted out. He's like, yeah, I know my flooring's bad. I know the pool needs update, but I'm done. So he took 1.1. The agent actually bought it. Right? Yeah. So what happened in the story quickly is this house is 1.8. It's worth 1.8 all day long. This gentleman unfortunately lost his wife. He wanted to go move to Florida with his kids. He doesn't want the memory of the house. Right?
I get it. Totally
right?
get
You
it.
get it. Totally get it. Right. And he's not getting any offers. It's been on the market, I don't know, a while. It's to the point where the listing is stale. He gets a lowball offer at 1.1. The agent says, don't take it. Don't take it. Don't take it. He takes it, opens escrow. Then the flipper gets cute and tries to nickel and dime him. He basically says, F you.
Good.
And oh, absolutely. Right.
Good.
I already bent over once. I'm not doing it again. Right. And the agent basically says, if you're still serious about 1.1, I'll take it. And the guy says, yeah, I'm already mentally checked out. So Brian says the agent's going in, new flooring throughout the house, and he's going to update the pool. He'll sell it at 1.7 and he'll make 300 grand.
Yeah, he will.
It just, sometimes you want out, and that capitulation I see coming. It's delayed, and you got it right. I got it wrong.
Well, I think that we were all expecting the stock market to continue the trend that it had in January.
That's
right?
what I missed, is because that wealth, if we were down 30% in the stock market, that would have caused capitulation early.
Absolutely, it would have. Yep,
no
I
doubt.
agree. I agree. Yeah, well, there's
Very cool. Well,
thing.
I'll in Vegas, I'll make a big deal of it. I'll give you $1 on stage. Have people take pictures of me handing you $1.
Perfect.
And Dion, you owe me $1. I don't want pennies, so we'll do the same thing. Matt, where can people find you?
Lumberjack Landlord on YouTube and on Instagram, and 11:30 a.m. live streams every Sunday.
Very cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.